A human being can survive almost anything as long as she sees the end in sight. But depression is so insidious and it compounds daily that it's impossible to ever see the end. Every man has his secret sorrows, which the world knows not, and oftentimes we call a man cold when he is only sad. You are allowed to feel messed up and inside out. It doesn't mean you're defective, it just means you're human. The worst kind of sad is not being able to explain why. The world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places. It's so difficult to describe depression to someone who's never been there because it's not sadness. We hide to try our feelings, but we forget that our eyes speak. People cry not because they're weak, it's because they've been strong too long. You say you're depressed. All I see is resilience. You're allowed to feel messed up and inside out. It doesn't mean you're defective. It just means you're human. That is all I want in life, for this pain to seem purposeful. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. Do not brood over your past mistakes and failures, as this will only fill your mind with grief, regret, and depression. Do not repeat them in the future. No matter how tall the mountain is, it cannot block the sun. You have to die a few times before you can really live. I found that with depression, one of the most important things you could realize is that you're not alone. Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. Never give up on someone with a mental illness. When I is replaced by we, illness becomes wellness. When it is darkest, we can see the stars. The bravest thing I ever did was continuing my life when I wanted to die. You give the world such a great gift by being alive. Your time to leave this world will one day come. Don't cut life short. Life is way too short to spend it at war with yourself. There are wounds that never show on the body that are deeper and more hurtful than anything that bleeds. She's battling things her smile will never tell you about. I withdraw from people and places from time to time, a world that is filled with millions of mouths that talks too much but never have anything to say. Keeping a lot to myself because it is hard to find someone who understands. I don't hate people, I just feel better when they aren't around. Sometimes all you can do is lie in bed and hope to fall asleep before you fall apart. A big part of depression is feeling really lonely, even if you're in a room full of 1,000,000 people. She wasn't sad anymore, she was numb, and she knew somehow numb was worse. If you know someone who's depressed, please resolve never to ask them why. Depression isn't a straightforward response to a bad situation. Depression just is, like the weather. What we don't need in the midst of struggle is shame for being human. Depression doesn't take away your talents. It just makes them harder to find. Do not be numb if you wish to heal your wounds. First, learn to feel where they are. Depression isn't a war you win. It's a battle you fight every day. Do you not see how necessary a world of pains and troubles is to school an intelligence and make it a soul? Depression is like a bruise that never goes away, a bruise in your mind. You just got to be careful not to touch it where it hurts. It's always here, though. My darling, you hold so much sadness in your eyes, I can almost touch the scars of your soul and cry. Sadness is but a wall between two gardens. You don't understand depression until you can't stand your own presence in an empty room. You don't have to control your thoughts, you just have to stop letting them control you. The hardest thing about depression is that it is addictive. It begins to feel uncomfortable not to be depressed. You feel guilty for feeling happy.